Hey y'all, welcome into the Alabama Football Report. I'm Lena Bond, and I'll be taking you through all the headlines and rumors straight from Tuscaloosa. But first, let's get to those headlines as we always do. First one up on the docket, and I'm sure you've seen this one just on Tuesday. The 2017 national champions visited the White House. President Donald Trump welcomed them in. And check out some of the photos from the ceremony. This visit included a tour of the White House, a tour of the East Room, State Dining Room, Red Room, Blue Room, Green Room, the whole rainbow, if you will. And at the podium, President Trump stated, "It's my great honor to welcome the college football national champions to the White House, the University of Alabama Crimson Tide. Congratulations, congratulations." Following brief comments from behind the podium, captains Bradley Bozeman, Sean Dion Hamilton, and Rashawn Evans presented Trump with a crimson number 17 Alabama jersey with Trump stitched on the back, a number 1 helmet, and an autographed football. Nick Saban said not a lot of people get invited to the White House, and so very few people get invited to meet the president. So this is a special day for our team. We got here because of our achievements of winning the national championship game, which makes me very proud. But I have a question for you guys. What are your thoughts on the Alabama Crimson Tide football team visiting the White House? I know it's very torn in the media whether they should have done it or not, but I want you to toss out your comments in the comment section, or you can tweet at me at Lena Bond Sports. But let's continue on to our headlines. Number 2, let's go ahead and talk about that Saturday scrimmage game that the Alabama Crimson Tide had. That's a little recap, if you will. So there weren't too many takeaways to be had. No one's had a starting position. No one lost their position, if you will. But Tua did play. That's a very positive thing for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only 20 snaps out of the 130 snaps taken on Saturday. There was no reason to play him more and risk additional injury, in my opinion, so I like that. In fact, he apparently dinged his hand a little bit on a muff snap, but there were no additional damage to his hand, so good news coming from Bryant Stadium. And in the new look secondary, Shyheim Carter earned some praise from Nick Saban, and Saban said he did pretty well and has been taking a, quote, leadership role in the secondary. Given Nick has said he's looking for leaders on defense, Carter may have separated himself towards a fall starting role. Freshman Joseph Bolvalis was 4 for 5 kicking field goals. Saban said he was, quote, encouraged by the place kicker's performance and added the kicks were not chip shots, only one being within the 20-yard line. However, Bolvalis and freshman punter apparently struggled with the wind on kickoffs and punts. So I'll keep you guys updated on how they do next Saturday. And they will be saying, like I said, another scrimmage on Saturday. So stay right here on the Alabama Football Report for a recap of that as well. Let's get to our last headline of today, and this one's kind of a fun one. Bear Bryant's grandson has officially committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. I've talked about the possibility of him committing before on a former Alabama Football Report, and we're not really that surprised that he did that. So quarterback Paul Tyson of Hewitt-Trussville in Alabama sent out a tweet on Thursday announcing officially his commitment to Alabama. The 4-star pro-style quarterback had offers from several schools, including LSU, Michigan, my Oregon Ducks, Tennessee, Clemson, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. However, Bryant said that meeting new quarterbacks coach Dan Enos was a huge factor for him, stating, "I liked him a lot. Me and him had a really good fit. He had the style of play that I run, and it fits perfectly on Alabama's offense. Honestly, we just connected so well together, and it was so much fun meeting him." Last season, Tyson completed 238 of 336 passes for 4,000 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. All right, guys, let's get into our rumors portion of the Alabama Football Report. First one, did Bama flip a 4-star UGA commit? Well, 4 Bear Bryant hats on this one. It's a fact. It is Roll Tide. So Rashad Cheney Jr. in his name, and he knew last Friday that he was going to commit to Alabama. It was just a matter of when he wanted to announce his decision. And it's so cute. He just decided to announce it on his mom's birthday. So Cheney, a 4-star defensive tackle from Cedar Grove High School, decided Thursday was the best day that he was going to publicly reveal his choice to play for Alabama. Now, this isn't Cheney's first commitment to a school. Like I said, he originally committed to Georgia in February, then reopened his commitment not too much later on, and he is the nation's 17th best defensive tackle in the class of 2019. At 6'2", 270 pounds, he said the main reason he chose Alabama was because of a 30-minute conversation he had with Nick Saban on Friday. He said, "I really like Alabama because of all the off-the-field stuff, like academics," Cheney told SEC Country. "They were telling me that it's possible to graduate in 3.5 years, and I would love to do that. Just going to a program like Alabama would speak volumes on my name. They don't just teach you how to play football there, they teach you how to be a man." All right, guys, before we get to our next rumor, let's go ahead and bring up the Bear Bryant scale here. here, you're going to want to know what all of these Bear Bryant hats mean. So 0 Bryant hats means fake news. Okay, no accuracy behind the report. 1 Bryant hat is Paul shouting out Phyllis from Wolga, which means it's pretty unlikely. 2 Bryant hats, okay, people are talking, we can't confirm, but where there is smoke, there is fire. 3 Bryant hats means more probable than not, but our sources in Tuscaloosa are yet to confirm. And 4 Bryant hats, that's Roll Tide, it's fact, it's news. So let's go ahead and get into our second rumor now. Did Saban say there's absolutely zero timetable for making a decision on who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide? Well, this is 4 Bear Bryant hats, Roll Tide. So just recently, Nick Saban said after the Saturday scrimmage that Tua played very limited in terms of reps that he had. I think Jalen did a nice job, and so did freshman Mac Jones. I'm sure when we look at the film, we'll say that there were things that we can all do better, but so far I am impressed. When asked how Tagovailoa's hand injury affected his time frame on the competition, Saban shot down the notion that the quarterback position needs to be settled in any particular time. He said, first of all, I don't have a time frame, so how could it affect it? I mean, you have a time frame, I don't. From your perspective, maybe I should ask you the question, but from my perspective, if there's no time frame, how does it affect it? I can't answer that. So we can expect this one to carry out throughout the spring practice and likely into the fall, at least publicly. But I do have a reaction poll for you guys before we get to our next rumor. Who do you want to start at quarterback next year? It is the $1 million question right now for the Alabama football program. So go ahead and give me a heart if you want Tua, the Hawaiian punch, to start at quarterback. And if you think Jalen Hurts is the man, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. All right, guys, let's get into our third rumor here on the Alabama football report. Is Alabama in good shape to sign a 4-star defensive lineman? He's top 10, actually. I'm going to go ahead and give this 2 Bear Bryant hats. People are talking. So Jaron Handy, he's from Perry Central High School. He grew up an Alabama fan. He calls the university his dream school, and Handy got his first chance to visit Tuscaloosa last weekend. Alabama has one of Handy's favorite players, who is also from the state of Mississippi, which is where Raekwon Davis. Now, he said, meeting Raekwon Davis was the best part of my weekend. That's my role model. He's the reason I like to play defensive end, and he's also from my home state of Mississippi. We were just talking as friends, and he told me he liked what he saw on my game. Davis signed and passed on Mississippi State to sign with Alabama back in the 2016 class. For many players from Mississippi, there's lots of pressure to play for one side of the Egg Bowl rivalry between Mississippi State and Ole Miss. For Handy, Ole Miss seems to be the school that Alabama will have to battle out throughout his recruitment. Let's get into our fourth rumor here. Is Bama going to sign the #1 kicker in the class of 2019? Oh, that Alabama kicker role. Well, we're giving this one 3 Bear Bryant hats. It's pretty likely. So Will Richard is his name, and he's the #1 kicker from Hoover High School, and he has a top 3 of Alabama, Georgia, and LSU. And he should be making his commitment known very soon. Now, many think Alabama has the best chance to land Richard when he makes his decision. He didn't grow up an Alabama fan. He was a Florida Gator fan, But because of Tuscaloosa's proximity to his home, Tide really has a great chance to sign him. He also recently expressed his desire to stay closer to home in an interview with SEC Country, and he stated that he considers Alabama special teams coordinator Jeff Banks to be one of the best coaches in college football. Now, Alabama hasn't had a reliable kicker in several years, and Richard could be the one to change the negativity surrounding the position in Tuscaloosa. Let's get into our 5th rumor here. Is that new look Alabama offensive line surprising the defense in the scrimmage and all the practices? Well, yeah, it is. We're giving this one 4 Bear Bryant hats. Roll Tide. So at one point during Alabama's first scrimmage of the year on Saturday, Terrell Lewis had to do a literal double take. Across from him was right guard Jederick Wills, the rising sophomore who played predominantly at tackle as a freshman. When asked about it, he said, "I'm looking at it like, whoa," said the outside linebacker. "It's just so different. I wasn't expecting it." And indeed it is. It's very different. Now, Wills was manning a new spot within the offensive line that is in the throes of an experimental phase. The Tide is currently mixing and matching players to try to find the most ideal lineup. He said, "We have to find out where the best combinations are, and if we lose players who give us the best option to get the best players on the field next year," Coach Nick Saban said recently. And to that end, the Tide is tinkering. It's a process that could take some time, but Alabama is in absolutely no rush. All right, guys, let's get to our 6th rumor here. Is Alabama set to break 2 records in the 2018 NFL Draft? Well, 2 Bear Bryant hats on this one. People are talking. With less than a month until the 2018 NFL Draft, Alabama football players may set a new Crimson Tide record. So 10 former Crimson Tiders were drafted last year, surpassing the previous record of 9 set in 2013. 256 players will be selected in the 7th round of 2018 draft, and Alabama football could have as many as 14 among the 256 selections. Now, based on draft expert Charlie Campbell's latest projection, the Tide will have 4 2018 first-rounders and maybe 5. 4 will tie the Tide's record set in 2017, 2012, and 2011. Now, Campbell is currently only projecting through round 6. He has Deshaun Hand and Tony Brown going in the 3rd round. In the 4th round, he has Bo Scarborough and Anthony Averett being drafted. And then he has Brad Bozeman in the 5th round and Levi Wallace and Sean Dion Hamilton in the 6th round. Now, if Campbell is correct, that means at least 12 former Alabama football players will be drafted. Those numbers easily blow past the previous Alabama football record of 10 selections set in 2017.